Welcome to episode 3. How's it going, Michael?
Man, it's going so good. It's great to be back in the new year with you. It's been a little bit of a minute since we've gone to do this again, but it's great to be back.
Almost, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm excited just to get going again this year. It felt like it was going to start slow, and then it kind of came in like a wrecking ball, I guess you would say.
Yeah, for sure. And what a great way to start the year with this interview.
Oh yeah, with
Juan, man.
Yeah,
He is
Juan Romero.
He is so insightful, and I'm so excited for everybody to be able to listen to this interview because it was awesome, man.
Yeah. Man, I honestly, like, listening to it when I was editing it, I just kind of I wanted to use it to like fall asleep to. Like, his voice is so calming.
His voice is very calming, and
I've never noticed that before.
And his whole demeanor is that way, you know?
You know, what was just one thing that you got from it quick that you just up front you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, just the amount of experience he has, you know, and over 40 years, if I'm correct, you know, just the fact that he's been through so much of a change in the industry. You know, he talks about like the difference in like technology, you know, how that's played a big impact to something more relatable to us now is like cell phones and technology on set and how that affects, you know, like production. So I thought that was fascinating insight, you know, to get from him.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting looking at, I think it goes for more than just a gaffer, but like really a grip, an AC, like a lot of these positions, because when you're DPing or producing or directing, I feel like you're on a heck of a lot less sets.
Oh, yeah.
So you have these grips and gaffers and ACs, you have all these people underneath you that have probably been on more sets than you.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting just the perspective that they have to take, because I mean, what happens when you're working for someone that maybe you don't agree with their shots or stuff like that. So anyways, I guess let's go ahead and jump into it.
Let's do it.
Well, welcome, Juan.
Okay, I guess we're starting.
Yeah,
all right.
I guess we are. Thank you so much for coming today.
You're welcome.
You know how much I respect you.
I appreciate that.
Maybe we should name drop a little bit here to start with.
Okay, just over the years, I worked on the original Dallas TV series, and went from that to Walker, Texas Ranger. So initially starting off like that, it went from 13 years on Dallas to 10 years on Walker. So I just thought everything was going to be like that, and it's not. I mean, I realized that I was fortunate to have just fallen across the 2 hit TV series. Everything since then has been just has lasted just a few years.
Yeah.
Like Prison Break, I think went 3 years, and was lucky enough to have gotten on House of Cards. I was on that for a couple of seasons. And other than that, just a ton of commercials, ton of music videos.
Yeah.
It's been a good run.
Yeah. I mean, tons of brands that I think everyone would know, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, gosh, what are some of the brands? Probably Mercedes, Toyota?
Mercedes, Lexus, American Airlines, Southwest Airlines, you name it.
Yeah, you
Nike.
name it, you've done it.
Yeah, just over the years.
Yeah. That's super cool. And so kind of leading off that, some of the things that maybe you've seen take place over the years. You kind of hinted at a little bit there.
Well, I mean, for me, it's just standing back and looking from where I started. I realize I've seen so many changes that have taken place kind of rapidly, starting with the equipment. Just in the equipment alone, the cameras it's night and day from where we were. Doesn't seem that long ago, but even lighting, everything has changed.
How many years have you been in the
I
industry?
started in 1976, so I know I'm dating myself there, but...
Is that 40?
About 40 years.
40?
Yeah.
48? No, 44? In that range.
In that range. In that range, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm still, it's an industry that I feel I'm very fortunate in that I have a passion for, so it's still going to work. I still get excited. It's not like a job per se. I enjoy working, and I think the working with the new people that are coming up like you, it invigorates me. It just adds fuel to that fire, and that's good. That's good. I like to see those changes. Like I was saying with the cameras, never did I expect to see film per se go away, and yet that happened very quickly.
Yeah, because digital probably wasn't even on the horizon when you were.
No. Everything was, we were shooting 16:35. I mean, every commercial was film, and then during that period where the digital started coming in, I saw it. It happened rather quickly with the still cameras, but I still didn't foresee it happening to the film industry, and yet it happened, and here we are. Along with that, lighting changed.
Oh yeah,
just to do a little interview like what we're doing.
I bet
right
you would
now.
have never known that would have.
Oh no, not at all. Because just, for example, when we started on the Dallas TV series, I mean, back then we were using what we call big guns. I mean, big lights, hot lights.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you would have.
What ASA were you shooting at typically?
Oh my God, it was. Who knows? But it was like we had.
It probably is 1 to 400 range though, right?
Well, there was probably less than that because we had the lights practically on top of a lot of the actors, and I mean their makeup would be running.
Oh yeah,
that kind
just
of
the
stuff.
heat
So,
just melting off.
yeah, so it was.
Human popsicle.
Yeah, so you see that happening where you have these big lights, hot lights that are drawing tremendous amounts of power. To now, what we shoot is if you have lights, you're plugging them into the wall. It's LED.
Yeah.
And
90% of shoots, you can pretty much plug it into a wall outlet now.
So that's a huge change, and you can have the lights right there, close to the actors.
Yeah.
It's not hot. They're comfortable.
Yeah.
The look is great. The fact that you can
dim
change
it, you can change color temp. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, back then, if you wanted to change the color temperature, you would have to add gel, or if you wanted to change the color or the intensity, you're dropping scrims.
Yeah.
It was a big distraction maybe for the actor if you're doing it like on the fly per se.
Oh yeah. Well, and the time that it takes too.
Yeah.
Because now you can even do it via DMX or something if you want.
Right,
Like
exactly.
so on big sets. Yeah.
Exactly. So from that perspective, it's been quite an eye opener. So
Yeah.
it's all positive, It's a good change.
Well, you were talking yesterday, though. We chatted briefly. You had mentioned a few things that you saw that weren't so good as far as technology coming in to set.
Well, along with everything that I just mentioned in the cameras and the lighting, the only thing that for me is a negative per se is, let's say, like the cell phones for me is a big distraction on maybe not only a set but everywhere across this world now. You can't go to a restaurant without seeing everybody on their cell phones, but to me, working in the film business, that is a negative in the sense that in the old days, what I call the old days, you have the scene taking place and everybody's like focused on the scene. You're standing by lights, making sure they don't go out. So everybody's like right there and paying attention. Today, you have the walkie-talkies and, you have guys that get distracted. They'll go off, get craft service or whatever, but they're not looking at what's taking place. So if a light goes out or whatever, they're not gonna know. It's gonna be somebody telling them that light's out.
Yeah,
Because
and quickly dropping the Cheetos and running.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're not right there on the set, and before that wasn't. That was really, really frowned upon.
And you're saying even back like when they didn't have walkie-talkies, like you were doing.
Yeah. Back then, I mean, we were, for example, even Walker, Dallas, those kind of series, we if we didn't have walkie-talkies, we were still communicating, but everything was through hand signals. You would just look over at whatever light you needed to have adjusted, and you would just, through hand signals, you would tell the guy, add a single, add a double, half single.
What were those like signals?
Well, the signal would just be like the circle.
Yeah.
For like the scrim.
Yeah.
And you would hold up a 1 for
Oh,
single,
yeah, for the number.
2 for the double. If you went like this, that meant half, like a half double, half single.
Yeah, so like one.
Right, and then you could just tell them to put it in, and if you went, that would be on the right side of the lamp, or this side.
For people listening, this is probably really confusing, but
yeah, exactly. But everything was just no talking. I mean, you were talking to a guy clear across the room, just using hand signals. And I mean, if you try to do that today, they would look at you like
what the heck?
What are you? What,
if
what
they
are you
were
trying-"
looking at
right,
you, yeah,
right. So I mean, those things where you communicate it without making any noise, or even now, like if you don't have an earpiece on your walkie-talkie, that can be very distracting on set because you have all these open mics and
Yeah.
so from that perspective, things that were better back then,
Yeah.
as far as the guys paying attention and the communication on set. Now, if you don't have a walkie-talkie, it's like, they feel like they're missing a limb. Like we're gonna shoot this thing without walkie-talkies, and so
Yeah.
it's just different.
Yeah, man, yeah, that's always funny. Just thinking about that, how many times I've been on set, it's like, oh man, like we don't even have a walkie-talkie. What kind of ghetto shoot is this kind of a thing?
Right, right. And so I mean, it's
Yeah, but it's
It-
like,
it's like anything else. I mean, there's good things that have come with these changes, and
Yeah.
there's things that can be improved,
yeah,
and that'll happen. It just depends. Like when you're on your set, let's say you're doing a project, you're going to set the tone as to what you want from your guys, and you can say, you just let them know up front, guys. I don't want phones on the set. I want you guys standing by the lights, pay attention,
yeah,
and because they're going to pick up on that pretty quick, and it just makes them a better technician,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like it is something that we can still control. Like
Right.
we can set those expectations up front for our crew, and that's especially like as DP or Gaffer or
Right.
like that's for you to set for your team underneath you.
Yeah. Whenever I'm working on a show, I just let it be known right up front, before we even start the project, that for the most part, if you need to make a call, take a call, whatever, just excuse yourself. Let somebody know where you're going.
Yeah.
But I do not want you looking down at the phone 12 hours a day.
I
It's not
remember-
going to happen.
We were on a shoot a while ago, and it's like we were looking. There was this grip that was kind of like we didn't exactly know him, but he got brought in. It was just like I don't even remember where he went. Like we just lost him for like an hour. Like he was just gone.
Right, right. I mean, just stuff like that,
Yeah.
it just was unheard of back then.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just a lack of their sense of responsibility.
Yeah. Well, it's especially if they're not in this I don't want to say if they're. I feel like there's a certain caliber that you hit where it started to. There's a different level of respect for set etiquette
Right.
for things like that. That when you hit that, it starts to become.
Right. And you can see that pretty quickly whenever you go on set. And if it's a bunch of people that you don't know, that you haven't worked with before,
Yeah.
you can tell pretty quick who the people that are serious about their craft, who they are, and
Yeah.
who is not, who's just there just filling the time,
Yeah.
or filling the space. But
Yeah. So kind of before you started in the industry and stuff, did you have any preconceived notions about what it might be like?
no, not really. I mean, it's totally different from what
what
I was when I was going to college.
Yeah.
You learn whatever you learn through the books and through the classroom instructors, but the
And then
reality
throw it
was
out and then
the reality was totally different when I
Yeah.
stepped out and started doing actual work, working with equipment that I wasn't familiar with, or
yeah.
just the very simple tools, C-stands, shot bags, stuff like that we weren't, we didn't have a lot of equipment even at the university where I was going at that point.
Yeah.
But
Is there anything that you wish you could say back to your 25-year-old self now? Or
not really. I mean, in the sense, when I came out, I was young, I was hungry, I was open to just, learning, just like a sponge, just
Yeah.
trying to take everything in. Again, and I remember those times because I had my ideas of the way maybe a thing should be shot, or an angle, or this and that. And I
Yeah.
thought, well, if I was doing it, I would do it this way. And so I try to remember that now whenever I start seeing younger guys come up, and there's nothing wrong with that. They have their ideas, and sometimes they are good.
yeah.
So I try not to just take that attitude that because I've been in the business quite a while, that this is the way it should be done.
Yeah.
And you can paint the picture 1,000 different ways, and it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that there's only one correct way to doing it.
Yeah.
In the end, it's all, they'll all look pretty decent.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That definitely hits home for me, because I know I've been on so many projects where it's like, if I'm not DPing it, it's like it's realizing my position and how I can serve the person's position that is choosing those like shots or that lighting. And it's just, I'm sure, especially with how many years of experience you have, it's not an easy. It's probably gotten easier over the years to be able to, I guess, humble yourself and be a servant like that.
yeah, and it's like whenever I go work on a project, my goal, my job is to go in there and along with the DP to understand what his idea of how the shot should look, what he has in mind, and to try to create that. What I'm finding out more and more is that there's not a lot of very secure. There are a lot of insecure DPs that feel threatened because of maybe my resume and that I've been around a long time, and so I can tell when they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden they feel like maybe I'm going to upstage them or whatever, and that's never my intent. My intent
Yeah.
is to go in there and I'm going to make you look the best that I can, because if this project looks beautiful, then you're going to look good, I'm going to look good, and everybody's going to be happy.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, that's exactly what happened with Craftsman.
Right.
Like
right.
that was very much, I brought you in because I rearranged the budget, all that stuff, because I knew if I had you were going to make me look good and make it way better than I could have on my own.
But the important thing there is that you're open to listening to maybe somebody's advice, and if you like it, fine. If you don't, you can say, well, what do you think about this? And that's what I like working with you, is that you're open and that there's communication.
Yeah.
And that you don't feel threatened, and that to me is a big plus, because at that point I know this project is going to look awesome.
Yeah.
At the end.
Well, that's interesting. Just thinking about that whole cycle that you're kind of talking about is like insecure DPs feel like they have to make more decisions than they do because they feel like they have to prove something.
Exactly.
And because of that, they're missing out on the collaboration that film is, and they're ultimately, they're cutting themselves off at the knees when they do that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. They're denying themselves of a great opportunity to just learn.
Yeah.
To me, it's the day you start thinking that I know everything, that there's nothing more that I can possibly learn from this industry. That's the day that, you know what, you're in trouble, because this is, to me, I have the attitude is when you go to work, it'll be a good day if you learn something new that you didn't know before you went in there.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whether it's in lighting and cameras and, hair and makeup, whatever. If you can pick up something that you didn't know, then you're still leaving yourself open to learning.
Yeah.
And it's a good day.
One question I have, I always ask you this on set. I think I've asked you like 5 times expecting a different answer. But I always ask, what keeps you motivated on set?
Well, I think what keeps me motivated, like right now at this point in time in my life, is just the opportunity to work with new people. Like I said, when I see somebody like yourself coming in who's just full of ideas, and you've got that energy, just that outlook, and you understand the new cameras. And to me, it's like, okay, he's learning, I'm learning, because this is a whole new world for me in the sense of these cameras that seem like they're changing every month. So there's room for everybody to just hang on and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just the new people coming in, the new ideas, because this industry is changing rapidly every day.
Yeah. And what is that thing that you say all the time? You're only as good as your last job as
Yeah.
well. That's the other thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always been my kind of like,
Mantra.
yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many jobs or what your reputation is, because you can have a great reputation, but then if you go in with that attitude like you're it,
Yeah.
and you have that one bad job, because it could happen where for whatever reason it's just everything's going wrong, then people are going to remember that, and they're
Yeah.
not going to remember the other 1,000 jobs that you did. I mean, they will, but
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time,
You shouldn't be always looking at that next job and like putting the job you're on now down.
right.
It's-
To me, it's like whatever job you committed to and you're doing, just do the best that you possibly can,
Yeah.
all the way around. Whether in my case, just make it look as good as you can, and you do that by working with the DP
Yeah.
and setting up the look.
So that actually leads me to another question that I had. I had a director I was talking to yesterday, and he was saying that a DP that he had booked called him. I was like, hey, I just got booked for another shoot with this really famous person. I'm going to have to cancel on the shoot that I already had with you, even though he was booked for like 2 weeks before that. And like it was committed. Like it was solid hold. It wasn't soft hold, nothing like that. I feel like I've heard of that happening more and more. And even for myself, I've had those things where it's like, man, I could go do this like Mercedes shoot, or I could be committed to this like corporate interview that really isn't going to do much for my resume. But it's like, to me, there's a level of commitment that's like, you know what? I committed to this person. They trust me. It's something that I can't find someone better. And it's like, did you find that level of commitment? Has it always been where it's like, if there's something better comes along, or was it much more committed maybe back in like earlier?
I think there was at least in my case, and just looking back on the people that I've worked with over the years, the level of commitment was definitely much stronger back then. If you took a job, to me, it's like you're giving someone your word that you're going to be there, and to bail out at the last second because you've got, if you're doing a 2-day job and somebody gives you a 7-day job, I know from an economic point of view, I understand that you're going
hurts.
to make more money, but
Yeah.
in the end, it all evens out.
Yeah.
So just keep your
Or
word, keep the commitment.
more than evens out, I'd say.
Yeah, because if you do that 2-day job and you stay with that person's going to come back and give you more work.
Yeah.
Next time around.
I feel like 9 times out of 10 too, those big jobs that like you get offered and stuff, it's like those people could almost care less about you. They just needed someone to film, like to
Right.
film this or to like those big jobs. It seems like they'll probably never use you again.
Right.
Like it's like, yeah, you can put the name on your resume, but that's it.
Yeah. I mean, just that's probably my one golden rule that I really try to keep and not break, is that commitment. If I take a job, I'm going to see it through.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't do anyone good if you bail out on the job. You're hurting your reputation. Next time it comes around, that client is going to be maybe leery of, well, is this guy going to keep his word? Is he going to stay with me?
The first time we scheduled this podcast, I remember you called me. You were like, "Hey, I just got offered to be on a Chevy job. We had this podcast though. We were supposed to record." And I was like, Juan, it's no, go get the Chevy job. Like, go do it. And it was like, just that level of commitment that you have is just like, it's something I don't feel like my generation, it has that sense of as much. That's
And I do see more and more of that now of guys just playing the days. If they commit to a 1-day commercial and a 2-day comes along, they want to bail out of the 1 day to go do that other job. And I'm like, you're only hurting yourself in the long run.
Yeah.
If you're gonna live by that rule.
Yeah. I think switching topics, that was great. But kind of switching topics, one last thing I wanted to hit on before the end is just, you were talking about just kind of maybe ways that people on set can work better with the gaffer and the Genie team and stuff like that. And even we were talking about just things that maybe you see, especially in DPs or directors, that you see that they could do better. And like you were going to talk a little bit, maybe even about me, like using me as kind of like a lab study type thing.
Well, just one thing that I notice that is, and again, I think it's because it's new people coming in all departments, whether it's hair, makeup, wardrobe.
Yeah.
It is I don't want to call it a sense of disrespect. I just think they don't know any better. And I'll give you an example. It's like whenever you're setting up a shot and it's getting close, you finally get the stand-in to step out and you bring the real actor in. And so you have just those few seconds, a minute to make the final adjustments to the camera angle, to lighting. But then you'll see wardrobe, hair and makeup, they'll just get right in front of the lens, right in front of that actor, and they're doing their thing. And that drives me crazy because you would never see that before.
Yeah.
Because, but they would know that everybody's going to get their turn, but camera comes first, lighting, you have to give us that.
Yeah, because lighting could take a few seconds to adjust stuff, so they can jump in while lighting's adjusting after they've checked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I try to let people know, like hair and wardrobe, like whenever the actor steps in, as a courtesy to camera, to the director, to DP, give us a moment to set it up, because once we know that everything's good on our end, then you can have them.
Yeah.
You fix their hair, fix their wardrobe, and then we're going to shoot it. But if you step in,
kind of handicaps the whole process.
Yeah, and then the guy's just standing there. Now he's got to stand there while we make the adjustments, and 1,000 things can happen. So it's.
I mean, I think we can cover pretty much all the amazing shoots you've been on. They were cool. They were probably long hours, and they probably had pretty solid crews on most of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, the shows that to me that stand out and that I have very, very positive memories of are shows that involved quality people starting from the top, whether they were the producers or directors. It involved people that were that were just kind to the crew, that were not disrespectful. To me, that's just very important, is how you treat the people below you. That tells me a lot about that person who's running the ship.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've been on shows where that person is a screamer, and it just sets a dark tone for the shoot, and it makes it stressful, and you're just counting the hours till you
get off
the set.
Yeah.
And I thought I don't want to be a part of any sets like that.
The feedback that you give me, I feel like, is just so powerful and beneficial, but so respectful. And it's like something that I feel like you've shown me is that you can be honest with people around you, and you can tell them exactly what you want to, like, you can tell them things that are bold and that are maybe uncomfortable at points.
Yeah.
Like I've seen you talk to people where it's like you had to have an uncomfortable conversation, but you treated them with such respect that you came out of it with a stronger relationship with that person that you talked to.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I just know how I was once the new guy. I was once the one that was learning. And so when I see people that are just starting out, to me, it's like, it's more important to teach someone, to show them. It's like if you go skiing, you don't want to do it on your own. You get like a good instructor to show you the right way, because there's a right way and a wrong way. So if you can catch these people early on and teach them the right way in a way that doesn't demean them or make them feel stupid, it's like I tell them, there's never a stupid question. I would rather you ask me questions all day long than to feel like I don't want to ask, this is kind of like a stupid question, and then go do something where you're going to hurt yourself or maybe hurt someone else on set.
Yeah.
And so, if I'm working with a DP, or let's say in our example, if you're saying, let's do this, and in my mind, if I think, well, just from experience, I think this way would be better. To me, it's easier if we have the time just to say, okay, I'm going to show you what you want, just so that you see it in your mind, and then I'll show you what I want. I want this thing.
Well, and that little step is so beneficial, because for me as a DP, then it's
You
like
learn.
It's like you understand, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do exactly what you want. Like, I'll do what you want.
Right.
But here's another way.
Right.
Instead of just trying to talk it out and negotiate it with me,
Yeah.
it's like you can show the person typically
In
10
less
times
time.
faster.
In less time,
Yeah.
and then what to try to
Exactly.
talk it out, because at that point, just show them if you can make the time, show him, and then show him, like, that way he's got an option,
Yeah.
and he can say, okay, I see what you're saying, but I want to go my way. Okay, then at that point it's done.
I feel like that just goes in that respect thing. Like, there's
Yeah.
just like this, yes, sir. Like, it's always, I don't know.
Right.
I've taken so much from that, like working with taking that and applying it to like directors above me, where it's like, even if I don't think the director is right on the shot they want, yes, sir, I'm going to get it. This is an option. This is also an option. That, like,
Yeah, because when you present it that way, they not only learn something, but at the same time, they realize this guy knows his stuff.
yeah.
And they're going to pay more attention to you the next time.
Yeah.
When you have something to say, they're like,
Yeah, it makes them feel heard,
right.
but you're also being a collaborator
Exactly.
in the process.
Exactly.
And I'm just going to say, anyone who's listening, hire Juan. If you haven't already heard it from me directly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a pleasure.
Well, my pleasure. My
Awesome.
pleasure.
Thank you. Well, there you have it. Juan Romero.
Juan Romero.
So just kind of going back over some of the stuff that we talked about, what's a key point that you took away from that?
Yeah, I mean, going back to like technology and how it's affected, set life now, cell phones are a huge change, that's happened in the last, decade. Having a cell phone on set can be a great tool, but it can also be a huge distraction. Working in production, there's nothing more than that, bothers me more than seeing, like a PA or somebody on their phone just blatantly looking like they're not doing, their work. And you guys touched on the one grip you said that just disappeared.
Yeah, for
like an hour.
Yeah.
It becomes a little bit of a problem, but I also see it sometimes necessary. If I'm trying to like find a PA or somebody and they don't radio me back on the walkie, I know I can text them and get to them super fast.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit of a balance, but I can see how much of an impact that's probably been for some of the guys and gals who've been working in this industry for so long.
Yeah. I think one thing that was maybe more nuanced, I don't think he came out and said straight up, but it's just the perspective that as a gaffer, I think that you have to take, where it's like you have these all different DPs coming in, all different people over top of you coming in, and like basically almost, I feel like changing your style almost every time and somewhat, and having to adapt quickly, where it's you may only have 2 days. So it's like you have to figure it out pretty dang quick what their style is and create that relationship and all that. And so you're probably on more sets than the DP if you're a grip or a gaffer or pretty much, I feel like a lot of the other positions.
Yeah, and going off of that, I thought it was fascinating how Juan sometimes feels like the DPs might get intimidated by his resume. He's worked on so many shows, original Dallas, he has so much experience, and just having the DP be open-minded, to his experience, like it sounds like you've been anytime you've worked with him, and then basically just letting him make you look better.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a fascinating point of view, just because I don't work, around cameras as
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it was just really interesting getting to kind of sit down and just take a moment to chat with him, because obviously we work on set a bunch. You, me, Juan, we all work on set a bunch together. But it's just interesting kind of hearing more of his thoughts in that area.
yeah,
Because I feel like it's the same with like me and the director. It's like trying to figure out the director's style. Like, do they like longer lenses? Do they like shorter? Do they want a long lens wide? Do they want me to be like just on a wide lens, really close? Like stuff like that. Figuring it out real quick.
yeah.
And then also like when you don't agree with people above you, like how are you handling that? Because it's an art form, but it's also like it's collaboration. It's a team thing.
Well, let me ask you, how do you handle those situations where you maybe disagree with the director, or the gaffer disagrees with you?
Yeah. I think I touched on it real briefly, but I think it's the biggest thing that I've learned for myself is to gain a director's trust. I'll just go in and I'll do exactly what they want. I'll be like, this is what you're asking. This is how it looks. But here's another option that I think might play better to your story. And then give like a one sentence, like, I think this would play better because we're pulling out on this move instead of being handheld, because the character is supposed to feel isolated right now.
Yeah.
And I think that this move complements what you're trying to tell in the story. And then between that one sentence and showing them what they wanted and also showing them what I had, typically, I'd say 9 times out of 10, they usually end up going with my idea.
Oh, wow.
Not because I have a great idea, but I think it's because I effectively communicate and I'm trying to understand what they want. And I think they feel that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, this is all collaboration.
Yeah.
This is what this industry is.
And I at the same time, I feel like this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like it's something I've been really just feeling lately, where it's like, at the end of the day, this is also a business.
Yeah.
Like, as much as we all love what we do and it's art, it's a business. And it's like, it's like our job, my job is to make the person above me happy. That is my sole job. Yes, it's art. Yes, it should look pretty. Yes, it should like accomplish like all that. But really, if the director is not happy, or if the EP is not happy, I didn't do my job, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't know. That's just one way I look at it, where it's like business, art, business, art, business, art.
Yeah, and I think that translates over to all crew positions. In production, same thing. I'm trying to make my manager happy or my producer happy.
Yeah.
And like you guys touched upon, you're only as good as your last job.
Yeah.
Just being focused in there and making sure that you give it, the best you could possibly give.
Yeah. Man, is there anything else that you grabbed from that interview, or?
I thought it was fascinating how they used hand signals back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
To communicate, the needs of like G&E.
Yeah.
Because right now in production, walkies are like absolutely necessary. And I don't know what I would do without walkies. And I can just picture myself like doing weird baseball signals to the PAs across.
Yeah.
across
Well, it's like no one's
set.
looking at you either. So it's like just to get their attention would be hard.
And a little distracting, I think.
Yeah.
If you're like on set and you see some grip just doing weird hand signals.
Yeah.
So I thought that was more than anything. And it's just cool insight on how it used to be.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. It was great. It was a pleasure. Thank you for coming on and co-hosting with me.
Of course. And what a great interview that was. So
Yeah. Man, I'm just going to like put that on rewind for like before bed. 'Cause I was telling him afterwards, he should narrate a book. Like
He should.
I should get him to VO a book. Like, I don't know, maybe like Grip 101, like we find like a grip book.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start that.
That's perfect. Anyways, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See y'all.